So, we're doing Michael Jordan's legacy breakdown. And we originally were just kind of going to gloss over the 93-94 season where Jordan is not in the league at all. And just kind of talk about how the Bulls, made the Eastern Conference Finals, whatever. I really wasn't even going to get too far into it. But Scottie Pippen has forced our hand on this program. And now I feel the need to talk about this in fucking depth.
Yeah. It was like perfect timing.
Yeah. This was amazing, right? So we literally had just finished Jordan's 93 campaign. And I think the next day, Scottie went on Dan Patrick's show and just lit up the sports world for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So without any further ado, let's talk about this fucking 93-94 Bulls season where Scottie Pippen is in the number one guy role.
Yeah. And
right?
either way, Jordan did tell us in The Last Dance that you can't say Michael Jordan's name without saying Scottie Pippen.
He said that then. He said that in his Hall of Fame speech. He said that within the first 4 sentences of his Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah.
Right? Like, after he told everybody why David Thompson was his inductee, or the inductor for him, the next words of his mouth was, when you see the 6 championships, you don't see me, you see Scott. You see Scottie, right? So Jordan never says, I don't win without Scottie. Like, he's never said that.
Yep.
But there's a reminder. It's just like when you
actions speak.
Just like when you handle like a dog.
Yeah.
You sometimes you gotta treat dog and make sure that the dog knows that they are not the alpha, right?
God, why? All right, yeah, continue, you asshole.
And in The Last Dance, Michael Jordan felt that need to make it happen.
Yeah,
it was such a good transition. It was so good, so good.
We're not explaining that.
So Scottie, after he sees The Last Dance and Michael Jordan talk about this season, was none too pleased. But before we get into that, let's talk about the season from the perspective we talked about all these other seasons. Yeah. So Scottie Pippen's going to finish third in MVP voting here, right?
Yeah.
His career best from a scoring perspective, pretty sure.
Yeah.
With the 22 a game. I'm gonna say that again.
Just barely compared to 2 seasons before.
Yeah, that's why when you were asking me during that season whether I liked 94 better, I still felt like 1992 was the better season in my opinion. But Scottie scores the most points in this year, carries the Bulls. But the main thing about this team is that the triangle is run flawlessly. That's what anybody who watched the team at the time would tell you. That they ran the triangle to quote-unquote perfection. Right? I want to see how many assists they had per game. 25.6 assists a game. It's really high. Set for 7th in the NBA this year. Right?
What did they have the year before?
Good question. They're still top 5 in defense. I know they're top 5 in the previous year, but I get that for you. Assists 26, right?
I mean, it was pretty much identical.
Yeah, I wanted to get the exact number. I think they're like, 2102. So it's less than 100 different. I'm pretty sure, right? Not going crazy.
And 0.4 less. So it's about 26 each.
Yeah, so it's about 30 assists separating the 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But
when you think about not having arguably the greatest scorer in NBA history on your team, that's crazy because you might look at that number and say, well, it was just 30 assists different, but you don't have Michael Jordan on your team anymore. You know how many?
The other thing I wanted to know, because what do we know about Jordan? Greatest scorer in the game, right?
Yeah.
It dropped to bottom 3rd in the league in points per game in the 93-94 season. In comparison to last year, they were top 15.
Yeah.
Right?
So they relied on their passing a lot to get points.
Not only did they rely on their passing, but they relied on their defense to win them basketball games.
Yeah.
Period. That's and it makes sense. Your best player is considered the best perimeter defender in the league, right?
Yeah.
Your team takes on the identity of the best player. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's crazy. They just the year before they were second in defense, right?
Yeah.
And they were averaging they were allowing 4 more points a game.
Right.
And this year they're third in defense and they're averaging 4 less. So that's crazy. Like that just shows that the league got like really stingy on defense that year.
Not only that, but what do we know about this era that we're entering?
Oh yeah, true. Sorry.
The pace is going to go like that.
Yeah, and also the expansion is happening.
True.
Too. So that's probably why the defense gets so low as well.
And the league is starting to become a little bit more diluted. You got the Mavericks, T-Wolves in there.
Yeah.
The expansion teams are starting to take hold, right? So, so Scotty's third in MVP voting. The Bulls finish third in the conference, 55-27. Knicks, who are expected to dominate heading into the postseason, finish number 1, right? Because this is a Knicks team who's constantly been thwarted by Jordan, really. Yep. You have David Robinson, of course, second greatest player of the era, Hakeem Olajuwon winning the MVP. And there's no way in hell you're going to get me to say that Hakeem doesn't deserve this MVP.
Oh, it's not even a question.
He was amazing.
You definitely deserve.
He was Defensive Player of the Year as well. This is one of the best seasons by a center of all time.
Yeah, one of the greatest seasons you can argue.
For sure.
There's only 3 players in NBA history to this date, 2021, that have gotten the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year trophy.
I wonder how long the list is of guys who average more than 25 points a game, but also average more than 3 blocks per game. That list has got to be incredibly fucking small.
Yeah.
I think it's probably Hakeem.
More than 25, you said?
Yeah, you got to get 25 points a game and you got to get 3 blocks.
But not even Dwight. Dwight would have possibly, if you would have said like 22, because Dwight had that 22 and 14 year.
Yeah.
With the 4 blocks a game.
But I think maybe Kareem. I'll get it and I'll find out. But I think it's maybe Kareem.
I don't know if they didn't count Wilt.
No, Wilt, because they didn't count blocks for Wilt, but probably would have been Wilt.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Jack might have.
Oh well, I guess David Robinson in the same season.
Yeah.
With 3 blocks.
Yeah.
Shaq too. But it's a short list, and it shows that you're dominating on both sides of the ball at your position as a big man.
Yeah.
And not to mention, now that Kevin McHale is out of the league at this point, the best post game in all basketball.
Yeah.
And it's not that close.
No, it's not.
God, I love Hakeem Olajuwon.
I mean, yeah, Jordan at this point is not the post guy.
No, he's got his post moves. He's got his post moves, but it's more of a guard. It's a guard style post up. It's not like the post ups that we're going to see going into this next.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
But Hakeem's taking post shots on everybody.
It's still not Hakeem. But I mean, it's still not up to the level of Hakeem's.
Yeah, because he's doing the dream shakes. He's hitting you with the over the shoulder. He's got like 3 different counter moves. Yeah, he's a beast.
And I know Jordan's post moves are like legendary and historic. Like everybody who knows basketball or like even heard about basketball and knows about Jordan's post move. If you don't know about Hakeem, just look it up because it's beautiful. Or
no, you know what? No fucking need. It'll be on your screen. It probably has been on your screen for the last minute or so.
Yeah. And don't worry, we will be doing a legacy breakdown of him at some point.
Yeah.
That's Russell's Jizz child.
That's
Jizz father.
Jizz child. That's him. That's Kim. So my Jizz child, Karl Malone, Scottie Pippen, the coach choker, Latrell Sprewell, and John Stockton. Our first team in NBA.
Yeah.
93-94.
So Scotty this year, because I forget that we were talking about Scotty this year. So forgettable, Scotty. Sorry. Um, uh, so he was top 5 in MVP and top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
This year, which is very Jordan-esque.
True.
Because Jordan has been top 5 in MVP and Defensive Player for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So it definitely is a great season by Scottie Pippen.
For sure.
And this is pretty much what makes up his legend, I feel like. Because the 6 championships really don't. It's more so this one season where he gets to show, okay, I'm good enough to lead a team and get them far.
You know what this reminds me of? Paul George on Indiana. Little bit.
Really?
Right? You're in this position where you're the main guy. The only difference between Scotty and Paul George at this point is you can't say Paul George isn't a main guy at that point because you hadn't seen anything before that. But when you think about it, right? High win total team, top 3 in the East, right? And was competitive in the conference, but was led by a guy that his game was, it would go up and down. It wasn't exactly consistent from a scoring perspective.
Yeah.
But he's giving you the best defense. He can guard your best guy, right? 2.9 steals a game. I think that's probably going to lead the league, or close to it. But
you can see why he almost averaging 3 steals and a block. That's pretty legit.
That's almost as good as Jordan.
I don't know, man. That's pretty.
Jordan averaged 3 steals and a block and a half in the 80s. It's absurd, and he's smaller than Scotty. But anyways,
but that's it's that ceiling of the 2. How you know if a guy's a 2 is do you think is he going to be consistent? Scotty wasn't consistent. Yeah. Is he going to be able to? If you're not consistent, you cannot lead your team to a championship.
Right.
Those are supposed to be assured points.
Yeah.
If we think, and that's the reason, like Jordan, he rarely had bad games, and if he did, it was still like a 20-point game, maybe on bad shooting or something. But for the most part, it was always he's shooting over 50% and he's giving you like 30 to 35 points in the playoffs.
Right.
100%. And this was in a time where they were only scoring like 95 to 100 points. So he's giving you 35% of your points on 55% shooting. Like,
right.
That's consistency. And that's why you were not considered a superstar. Or you were considered, at that point, you were considered a superstar. In this NBA, you wouldn't.
After the 3 chips, he's got to be upper echelon. He's first team All-NBA. Yeah. People see him as the best small forward in the league right now.
Yeah. And I mean, in the Last Dance, they were saying that they considered Scotty. He could arguably be named the second best player of the league.
Yeah, that's a claim that I wholeheartedly disagree with, but I can understand.
Top 10, maybe top 15. I don't know about.
I think he's top. I think you could say top 5. You could be top 5 in the league for Scotty. He's first team All NBA this year, right?
No, yeah, but I'm talking about like they talked about for the decade. So.
Oh, for the decade, that's a little different. I'm just strictly talking about this year.
Oh yeah, he's 100% top 5 this year. He was top 3 in MVP.
Yeah. And I think he feels like he is the guy after that first year with the Bulls without MJ. Because one thing we know about Scotty, he thrived on that this year. That's what fueled him. Was I am the man. I can do it without MJ. We don't need MJ to win games. Everyone's going to get up more shots. Everyone's going to be happier in the triangle. At least that's what he said in the Last Dance. How was everybody doing when Jordan left? Oh, they were great.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I mean, he led a different way than MJ. And I think they were happier that way. But you didn't win.
Wanted to see where Horace Grant.
I just wanted to. Can you go back real quick? Yo, David Robinson and freaking Hakeem had a struggle for who won Defensive Player of the Year that year.
Facts. And MVP.
So close.
Oh, and you're saying in terms of the voting?
Yeah, Defensive Player of the Year. It was.
Oh yeah. OD close.
That's crazy.
It's all good. In 2 years, David Robinson's going to get emasculated. so it doesn't even matter.
Oh yeah.
Team will get to take out all his
I just thought
frustrations
that
on
was
him.
interesting. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Akeem Olajuwon's legacy is going to be a fun one.
That's the great. That's what's really great about basketball. Is like you could lose. Like Jordan wasn't here this year, and
Yeah.
This was a fun year. Like
A lot of people, I think, you want to talk about the casual fan. I think the casual basketball fan in 1993, 94 would disagree with that statement.
yeah,
But I think the hardcore fan for sure
yeah,
would say that. But I just don't know because of the way television and the way games are put out at this point. I wonder what the
yeah. I'm sure,
general
but
consensus
just
is.
looking at it, it seems so competitive.
Yeah, you have Hall of Famers throughout the league
Yeah,
for sure. It's definitely and at the top for sure. It's super competitive in both conferences.
yeah,
With the Jazz, the Rockets, the Spurs, Knicks, Pacers are starting to come into play. Hawks with Neek.
yeah,
It's crazy. Suns with Barkley.
yeah,
But Horace Grant also 15 and 11 with a steal and a block a game. Solid two numbers for this era.
yeah,
Solid number two numbers, in my opinion. Because there's a lot of especially because the scoring's down, the expectation on what a number two should be doing, especially from your power forward spot.
yeah.
This is about as good as you're going to get from a power forward in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
not like a That's not like a Charles Barkley level. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Upper echelon type guy.
55 games, yeah, off of this, like just locking down and playing.
Yeah, but they relied on their defense, and then their stuff in the half court with the triangle to get it moving. But they're going to go into the playoffs, right? They get the Cavs, and I'm sure the narrative going in was they don't have the Cavs ghost, so maybe the Cavs can try to what do you call it, or maybe not the Cavs ghost, but the Cavs Grim Reaper and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll get a chance. Scottie Pippen, 25-9 or 25-10 and 4 assists, 3.3 steals and a block, 49% from the field. Not terrible. And a lot of guys getting shots, right?
Yeah.
A lot of guys scoring in double figures, way more than what we usually see in this Bulls scenario. It's usually Jordan with 30, Scottie with 20, and everybody else is underneath them. You know what I mean? But this is a little bit more balanced.
Yeah. And I think that's what I think that's where Scottie played a big role in the Bulls dynasty was that intangible piece too. Like I'm sure he helped a lot of people get through Jordan's. It's almost like the Brady and Belichick thing, where in this case Jordan would be considered Belichick, where he's just like a general and kind of like this is how we're gonna get it done. We're gonna grind it out.
Yeah.
And Brady kind of, made it work and
put the arm around the shoulder of guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the good cop as opposed to the bad cop.
Yeah. And Scottie Pippen is obviously he's beloved in that organization, so it's like, Scottie's falling in line. He's doing what he has to do, and he's telling us everything's gonna be all right. We're gonna win a championship, and we're winning.
The quotes about Scottie Pippen before the series against the Knicks were whatever happened, what we're going to talk about happens, were overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
Like he was getting glowing reviews by everybody, by all media pundits, and all people who were covering the team, and especially the teammates, like you said. Like there were guys who were just like, especially this first year, there were many who felt there's almost no drop off. Yeah. That's how they felt. And they were riding that confidence. I'm not saying they were right. But.
No. And I agree with you. But because we know that and we know who Michael Jordan is, do you think that kind of played a role in why he wanted to highlight things in The Last Dance? Because I
thought you were going to go a different way with that question. I thought you were going to go a different way with that question. I thought you were going to ask me whether it bugged him in the moment. But
I mean, I do think it bugged him in the moment. I think that's obvious, but
in my head, I was thinking No, because when you think about Michael Jordan, think about how focused he is. He's knee deep in baseball at this point, trying to make sure he doesn't fucking suck at that.
Yeah.
So maybe he's not so focused on the Bulls. You know, there's that clip in The Last Dance of him watching the Knicks series,
Yeah.
and he's just like, "Nope, I don't miss it." You know, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, for The Last Dance stuff, I think for sure that it there's a reason why he brought it up.
Yeah.
And
And I,
it wasn't to just to make himself look good.
yeah, exactly. And I think, I'm just because the reason we're even having doing this right now is because of Scotty's comment.
Yeah.
So
So let's get into the Knicks series.
yeah, and I could totally understand where Scotty's coming from
Okay.
in his whole thing, but we'll
So
continue.
let's break it down,
Point
right?
taken.
So Knicks go up 2-0 again, mind you, because in '93 they did the exact same thing. They were up 2-0 on the Bulls, right? Jordan, the previous year, is going to win 4 straight games, right? Then in this third game, they come back to Chicago. And it is close. And really, Chicago goes up a lot to start the game, as you can see from the box scoring by quarter.
Yeah.
They were up almost double digits going into the second half. And then the Knicks, fourth quarter, 32-15.
Yeah.
So the Bulls collapse in this game, right?
Yep.
Comes down to the last possession where we're going to have.
Got to collapse at that point because they were up almost 20.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, it was a pretty intense collapse.
And in the 90s, 20 is like 10 possessions.
Yeah.
You're not shooting threes, you know?
True. But here's Scotty in the game, hitting some shots here. Now Ewing loses the ball, but he's going to have 2 major stops or major plays from an offensive perspective at the end of this series or at the end of this game. I hope I can get the. Oh, here we go.
Is this the game when Scotty dunks on Ewing?
No. I think it's in that. I think we're in that series though.
No, yeah, it definitely is in this.
This is the series where that happens. But this is Ewing right here. Makes the layup. Right. Now Scotty comes down. I think that's him. Look at this. Look at this fucking shot. Watch how terrible the shot is. Ready? Here's Scotty with the ball. A very 2021 shot creator 3. And he destroys the backboard.
Yeah.
With a bricklow of epic proportions.
Yeah, but it was at the end of the shot clock, right? I can't imagine that because look if he misses and then the possession stops. So it was definitely at the end of the shot clock.
So now Ewing comes back, hits a cute hook shot, right? Now Bulls take timeout, right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Ernie, what's goody?
Youthful Ernie.
Yeah, look at you.
So now, when Scotty goes to the bench, basically Phil Jackson has a play that Tony Kukoc has scored, who's a rookie this year in the NBA. He had played previously, as we talked about in the Dream Team, when we discussed the Dream Team. He had played overseas previously. Mm-hmm. The Bulls were waiting for his contract to finish up overseas. This is his first year in Chicago. Kind of perfect timing when you consider they need the extra help. Yep. And did he win? He didn't win Sixth Man of the Year this first year, did he? I don't think so. He's going to go on to get Sixth Man of the Year for this Bulls team. Point being, Phil Jackson has a play that Kukoc has scored on before. Yeah. And it's a play that Jackson feels confident in, right? Mm-hmm. And so he says, all right, this is the play. We're gonna run it. Kukoc's gonna get it, take the shot, we'll live on that. And Pippen is irate after hearing the play call, right? Just totally beside himself, because this is the moment that he's built up in his mind for, I don't know, maybe his whole career, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
And so he looks at it like, this fucking guy is screwing me out of being the guy in the spotlight. I finally have my chance to get out of the fucking shadow and be the star. And now this fucking white guy who just showed up from Yugoslavia or wherever the fuck he's from now has to fucking take the shot, gets the game-winning shot, and the glory? This is bullshit.
Yeah.
That's basically how he takes it.
Yeah. So they were tied, right, with the shot call creation. They won by 2.
Yes.
So okay.
Ewing tied it with that shot we saw before.
Yeah. So the what?
Ewing tied it with the hook shot we saw earlier.
Gotcha. So, because you gotta also, like, I'm sure he's probably like, we're down 2-0 in this series. Like, let me end let me make it make it so that we can, have a chance in this series. Or he probably didn't believe in his teammate or anything. And clearly he thought that Phil Jackson was also racist at this point.
So this is the beauty of timing, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about something that just came out within the last week, right?
Yeah.
So that before I play what inevitably happens here, Scotty now decides, after almost 30 years of sitting on it, that he feels like Phil Jackson favored Tony Kukoc because Phil Jackson is a racist.
Like, that was Scottie Pippen's team.
But
Scottie
Phil
Pippen
then
was
but
on pace to be an MVP that year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why would you put him in a position not to be successful? Why wouldn't you put him in a position to succeed? Michael Jordan is not there. So who's next in line for you?
But have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Do you think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you remember Phil Jackson left the Lakers, wrote a book on Kobe Bryant, and then came back and coached him? I mean, who would do that? You name someone in professional sports that would do that. I think.
And he felt like the white man needed to be the guy in the spotlight and the hero.
And the crazy part is, look, and you just showed he had a shot at the end of just going into that possession. I do think it was like a last second shot though, but you did have the ball in your hands, and you shot a bad air ball or backboard shot, whatever, didn't touch rim. You gotta understand where he's coming from here. Where one, Kukoc is the better shooter.
Right.
You only got a 1.8 seconds left.
Yeah.
So it's not like you got to get up a quick shot. Scotty's not the right person to take that shot.
So here's your chance, Scott. Scott, here's your chance, right?
Yeah.
I'm not drawing up the last shot for you either. I'm sorry, I'm just not. What is he shooting in this game? Let's see what his final field goal percentage was.
Not in that. I'm not. I think if you had 10 seconds on the board, I can see Scottie Pippen being the guy with the ball in his hands to make the play. I can see why he wouldn't with 1.8.
Right. What did he finish with here in this? So Scottie Pippen, 10 of 20, shot 50%, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Usual Scottie stuff, right? But the collapse in the fourth quarter, I'm sure. I mean,
1 for 5.
Say that again.
Before making that shot, Kukoc was 1 of 5. Like,
true.
Like,
true.
I understand why the play was drawn up.
Yeah.
I think the racial thing is, I think that's just taking advantage of 2021.
I'm not disagreeing with that in the slightest.
Because I think the racial divide in the country has definitely been a thing in the last definitely in the last 5 years for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And but I think this was strictly basketball. Like I think it's bullshit that he even like brought that up, like to make it like I understand you're trying to sell your book, but I don't know, man.
The ironic part of the whole thing is you can't, in the moment, if you're just looking at it from that situation and on that day, you can look at it and you can put yourself in Scotty's shoes. You can understand his frustration.
Yeah, for sure.
The most ironic part is everything, and I mean everything, that Scottie Pippen has said and done concerning this play since then has made it more damning, more negative, and made me feel more positive that he never should have gotten the ball in this situation. Right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
And the worst part is, repeatedly, he's asked, if you had a chance to do it differently, just to be on the court, to be a decoy, would you do it differently? And he's never said, I would do it differently. He always says, I wouldn't change it. There's no way I would change it. I'd do the same thing. What a fucking pussy. What an asshole. To the point where Bill Cartwright, who had been on the team through everything, right, is crying in the locker room afterwards.
Yeah.
And Phil Jackson says to him, Scotty, we are all fucked up that you just did this. You cunt. What is wrong with you? Like,
all right.
Bill Cartwright's 7 feet tall. Imagine a giant just crying like crazy over a man pouting on the sideline.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Because I'm sure that probably made them feel like, because it's not a brother. At that point, you showed selfishness.
Yep.
And that he's your leader at that point.
Yeah.
When you have selfishness and your leader and it's more about me instead of us, it automatically causes some type of rift, especially we've talked about this throughout like almost all of our legacy breakdowns, all of our any championship talk we talk about. The biggest thing about every champion that wins is chemistry.
Facts.
You never have, unless you have all-time great players, because obviously the Lakers, whatever the Kobe and Shaq's first three-peat. But for the most part, chemistry matters so much in winning a championship that once that's broken, you just broke it right there. You weren't okay with this guy taking the shot.
Yep. When
he was the best person you'd argue to take that shot.
Yeah. The legend Isaiah Thomas once said, "The secret of basketball is that it has nothing to do with basketball, and it has everything to do with the external factors surrounding basketball."
Yeah, the intangibles.
Yes, and whether there's one bad apple, in this case being Scotty, that can rot your entire team.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reason why a guy like Terrell Owens was vilified through his career. But I'm sorry, continue.
No. I feel that for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think this altered the series for them?
Yeah, because I'm looking at Game 5 in a situation. This is what I need to figure out, and if I can get the footage, I'll get it. But I need to figure out what happened here in this game, because they were once again in a one-possession game.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if Scotty got the opportunity to take that shot. This is the ending of Game 5. Scotty's coming on the court, which means he must be happy with the play. And if I were the Knicks, I'd put 4 guys on Scotty in that situation.
Yo, you telling me Patrick Ewing doesn't look like a bulldog? Like how?
Oh, here we go. You and Lindsay, fucking A.
What you?
Charles Barkley with your weird, or not Charles Barkley, your weird Patrick Ewing takes.
Wait, did I miss his tiny head?
Oh my god, he looked like a freaking bulldog.
His.
Did they pass the ball? Did someone just pass the ball?
No, hold on.
Can someone find me a picture of Patrick Ewing with a hat on? I really want to see it.
So this is a 1. Oh, he got fouled on that. By Scottie Pippen!
How many seconds?
I love this fucking game.
Please
Oh, I
tell
love
me
this game.
it was by 1 point with 1.8 seconds left. Please tell me. No, you could.
Unbelievable. I'll. He got. I can't believe.
Just let it keep on. Let it keep on.
I can't believe Scotty fouled him. Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, you gotta love basketball.
This guy, Scottie Pippen, is a fucking piece of work, man.
So
there's 2 seconds.
All right, they gave him a little bit more. Let's see, yo.
What you mad about now?
He's saying that he didn't foul him.
Nah, bro, you did. You fouled him. You hit him right in the arm. I can see it from
no.
here. Look, they're pointing it out. You can see it. Fouled the shit out of him. Sorry, bro. That's a foul in every era. Ridiculous. I didn't foul him. Scottie Pippen.
It doesn't get
Agreed. It doesn't. It doesn't. This is beautiful.
I love
Now that's how the game's going to end, on that foul, because he's going to hit the free throw and the final score is 86-87. Oh, he looks engaged. Must be getting the ball. All right. It's 2.1. Let's see who gets the last chance for the shot here. If it's Tony Kukoc, I will die. Oh, it was a poorly forced pass to Scottie Pippen. So, to answer your question, yes, I do think it fucks up the series for them.
Whoa.
Very much so. But I think that it definitely messed up their chemistry, because I don't think that ball gets forced to Scottie at the end of the game there. If in the back of their mind, the team's like, if we don't throw the ball to Scottie here, he's not going to even come on the floor for us.
Yeah.
So I'd feel. If I was like Steve Kerr, so I'd feel.
That was such a dumb play too. Like, why would you throw it all the way on the?
It was forced. It came off forced, right?
Yeah, but it's like you should have set it up for him to come around and then get the ball on the side of the pass. Like, he threw it all the way across the court.
I think they're thinking lob. I think they're thinking lob to Scottie here.
That was a lob.
See the back screen coming. You can see the back screen. Horace gives him the screen.
That was a horrible pass too. Then
I'm not disagreeing with any of this. It's also a terrible idea. Like,
yeah.
that's
like the worst play. Like,
but look, there's the screen. Scottie's putting his arm up, saying he's open. Got a bad pass, but he probably would have gotten fouled at best case scenario. If you're the Bulls, Scottie gets fouled going for the layup, because that's not an easy shot. Yeah. So that's my opinion. I think it did mess up their chemistry, and you could kind of tell it does, because in the next year they're not going to be nearly as successful.
How does he perform in Game 6 and 7? Because they won in Game 6, so I'm curious to see if he
in Chicago.
Yeah, he shows out.
Pippen, 13 points on 16 shots, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. But to be fair, the whole team shot 40%.
I don't care.
I'm just saying. I'm just trying to paint the whole picture.
Yeah, BJ, how Kukoc did. No, it's pretty bad.
This is a rough, but they still won. They won the game because I guess
the Knicks had to.
Ewing 26 and 14, 4 blocks, but John Starks played well. How did they fucking lose this game by so much?
Could you scroll down? I'm curious to see free throws.
Oh, good question. Good point. 25 of 31 for the Bulls.
25, I think 17.
And they had 22 for the Knicks. So it was even. There wasn't too much tomfoolery happening. This wasn't an 0-1 skip.
How much was it? I mean, it was like 10 more free throws.
9.
No.
9 free throw difference.
And there was an 8-point. That's an 8-point advantage for the Bulls. I don't know. Considering I don't have any of the footage in front of me for that game, I'm not willing to say that. I don't know. But they were at home, and we've seen lots of people get this Game 6 in this situation. They won by 14. I mean, it's fine. Even the 8-point advantage from the free throw line doesn't doesn't equate it.
Doesn't change it.
Yeah.
But now in game seven, Pippen 20 points on 22 shots, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block.
Not too bad.
Horace Grant played okay. Kukoc 9 points, 10 shots, not great. And Patrick Ewing. Wow, Charles Oakley said, "Fuck you, Scottie Pippen." 17 points, 20 rebounds in 46 minutes.
He's like, you have always been Jordan's son.
And you have always been my son.
Yeah, I used to slap you around. Don't act
Slap the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But the Knicks will beat them in 7.
Go on to
And
the
they'll
NBA.
go to the conference finals.
They go to the NBA finals, don't they?
Well, this is the semis. They do go to the NBA finals, but they're going to make it to the conference finals, and they'll go to the NBA finals and get dicked down by Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yes.
But the Bulls are going to go, before we end this episode, the Bulls are going to go from 55 wins in 93-94 to 47-35, and they were looking way worse before the return of 45, not necessarily 23.
So do you agree with Jordan putting that portraying Scottie as that in the documentary? Because at the end of the day, that's the whole reason we're doing this. So I feel like that's definitely something we should.
Here's my question to you. I'm gonna answer your question by asking you another question.
I hate that.
Is the Last Dance a documentary about Michael Jordan, or is it a documentary about the Bulls?
It says that's something that I looked up, and it says Michael Jordan and the Bulls, and the '90s Bulls. So I'm not mad at it. All right. So this is my main thing with the whole Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen thing.
Yeah.
I'm not upset about it if he did that to himself.
Scottie did that to himself. He could have went on the floor.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Michael Jordan portraying Scottie in that way is not upsetting to me if he also portrayed himself in that way in situations where he could have showed up. Because so a lot of people, and it's because we have a lot of Jordan cock eaters that go and say, Scottie Pippen, Game 7, got the migraine. Sure, right? But how many NBA superstars have we seen have something like that happen to them and they still win the game?
Right.
We've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Jordan still had a chance to win the game. Jordan at no point, and I know other superstars would have, or at least said at some point that it was on them because you should have I should have got my guys ready. I should have something. I've heard many superstars do that even if they lose a game like that.
Yeah, but you also don't hear him blaming his team. He doesn't say that. He goes, it's the migraine game, and he said we were almost there, and we didn't see over the horizon. That's basically what he said.
Yeah, exactly. But everybody calls it the migraine game for a reason because they're pretty much blaming Scottie Pippen's migraine. We've done it. We did it.
Oh, I'm doing it. I've done it.
You've done it, and I know. So my whole thing is that's a point where you could take accountability. Doesn't do it. He literally freaking had the gambling spadazzle whatever situation during a playoff run.
Yeah, that was discussed.
Yes, it was discussed, but he never took accountability. He still to this day he says he says it was nothing. They made it out to be bigger than what it was. It's different when you take it and you say
in the time period though. That's the hard part though, because in the time period, especially to people who were like watching the game at that point, a lot of people felt like it wasn't a big deal.
Because they love him. That's my main thing.
But
because you don't love Scottie is why you shit on Scottie so much. Not you in general, but just in like people don't love Scottie like they love Jordan. People love Jordan so much that they shit on Scottie.
And you don't think Scottie gives them any reason for that?
No, I do. I do. But what I'm saying is when you're breaking down a documentary and you're talking about a guy that literally was part of the reason that you even got to that point. Jordan would not have won 6 championships without Scottie Pippen.
Which he said that you already brought up.
Yes, right? But then to go and every single time you had a chance to show when Scottie Pippen pretty much let you down, you did.
Yeah.
But when you were bringing the team, you don't think them having him doing that LA thing? Like, we talk about it now with players. If a player went on a to Vegas or something in the middle of a playoff run, and that happened now, that would be blown out of proportion to immensely.
Yeah, but it could also be seen as quote unquote not a big deal depending on who you ask. You know what I mean? It's the truth. It's just like it depends, and I don't think that's a thing about Jordan Love. Honestly, I think it's more a matter of the guy had so much money that nobody was getting in his face about where he was going to spend it. I think it was more of that with the gambling, where that's where people felt like it wasn't a big deal. When no one cares if you're gambling monopoly money, essentially.
Yeah, but I'm talking about from the team's perspective.
Right.
You added that extra, because you could say it's not a big deal. We could feel like that, but at the end of the day, they had a lot of media attention on that.
Right.
That takes away from the game.
Right. But do you know? Can you think of a comparable moment that Jordan had that's equal to the migraine game, this shit that happened in 93, 94, him with his fucking back, like when Jordan's gotten injured, much like Kobe and those type of psycho people, they just like he played through 2 busted ass ankles that in today's era, a guy like Steph Curry had a very hard time playing through similar ankle problems, right? It's all about a case-by-case basis, is my point. Like,
I'm not talking about I'm talking about.
You're talking about, are you holding yourself accountable for the shitty moments in your career? So I'm asking you, what kind of shitty moments are we talking about? You didn't, though. You didn't. You kind of just said it, but I want to know examples.
Okay, Game 7 NBA Finals. He played. Game 7 against Detroit. He played like ass.
Yeah, and they said he played like ass against Detroit that whole time, and he said that.
Was it portrayed in that documentary? When you watched that, did you feel like, wow, Jordan played like ass? No, we felt like.
I mean, I did, but I also could be skewed by what I know.
Right.
I'm not the right person to ask.
That's cool.
But it's the truth. I'm being honest.
I didn't feel that way.
You didn't? See, there you go. There you go. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't agree. I think the Pistons were shown to a certain extent. I don't know. I guess I am skewed by what I know because I already know what happened. So it doesn't.
But it's because of what we've been told about. Literally, before I even knew about Scottie Pippen, I thought he was ass. When I actually, when I was growing up and I heard about Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, I always thought Scottie Pippen sucked. Yeah. Because everyone talked about Scottie as if he was just a number 2 and he was just Jordan's sidekick. When I actually watched him, I was like, oh, this guy's one of the best NBA players ever.
I never got that. I always looked at him as Paul George. Like the same way I saw about Paul George, I thought about Scottie. This is a guy who could be better if he wasn't in his own fucking head. Like,
sure, but I'm talking about from what he did do.
Yeah,
Scottie Pippen, to go into NBA Finals and Magic Johnson cooks your main dude. Yeah. And for them to say, you know what, we're not going to put you, we're going to put this guy, and he pretty much changes the series.
Yeah.
That's something. Like, people don't talk about Scottie like that. People don't mention that.
That's not true. That's not true. It was mentioned. And it was mentioned in The Last Dance, too.
No, I understand. I'm talking about when you talking to a casual person who talks about Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, people learn that. Right. You don't think people, when they watch that Last Dance, they learn that. Yeah. Not a lot of people knew that. Like,
I don't know. I have such a weird view about this. I can't agree with that Because
All right,
I've known
casual-
that
I
since I was
didn't
a-
know that. I didn't know
I've
that.
known that since I was a
That's
kid.
what I'm saying. That's why it's perfect to have Lindsay here.
Yeah, because I can't answer these questions fairly.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't answer these questions fairly because of how addicted to basketball I've been in my life.
Is it?
I can't.
I know this because when I would be on the block just talking about MJ and I heard about Scotty, that's what made me feel like Scotty sucked. And I watched him, and literally I remember a friend talking about Scotty and D Wade.
Yeah.
And they talk and I argued for D Wade like crazy, and his argument was for Scotty. And after researching it, I was like, okay, I can see how they're not as far as I think they would be.
Right.
And that to compare Scotty to Dwayne Wade to a lot of people is probably crazy.
If all you do in your sports life is listen to Skip Bayless, then I agree with you. But I just can't. I just have a hard time with that because I just don't. I always look at Scotty. All you got to do is go on this website we're on right now and look at his career. Like it's not super hard.
Yeah, but people
like
don't do that.
That's where I can't. That's why I can't answer your questions because I literally can't.
But you have to. The whole thing
can't
is
do
you have
that.
to have like be mindful enough to what other people think. Like I'm not gonna look at it and say
I can't assume that. I can't assume what people know and what they don't.
I know you can because we've texted and talked about how Skip Bayless freaking controls people's minds and make them think dumb as hell. So you know that there's people like that. So
Yeah, but those people are idiots, and I don't respect them. So
that's fine, but
it's
it's that's like a lot of
That's still
that's a lot of the
perspective.
fans. Yeah.
I guess, but the perspective's wrong. Like, isn't that the whole point?
No, but it doesn't matter. But you have to understand that it's like an audience. Like that's what people believe.
Exactly. And that audience is bigger than the audience that you're thinking about. Like,
Yeah, that's what makes
you
my
are
opinion.
a much smaller audience. Than
So,
that.
Lindsay, you thought Scottie Pippen was like, what would you compare Scottie Pippen to in your opinion?
I thought he was just kind of like like he was there. Like you know what I mean? I didn't feel like he was like this active piece of winning. I felt like he was just like he could have been replaced with a different like 3 and D. Like,
Did you think he never made the All-Star team?
I honestly had no idea.
But my
that's
whole
what I
thing is,
don't
I don't
understand.
even respect like how many All Stars right now that are in the league that you don't like and then maybe then the All Star game mattered more, but definitely like when you talk if you're talking to a fan right now,
yeah,
and you say, I don't know, trying to think, Chris Middleton, he's like a 3-time All Star, whatever the hell he is.
Yeah.
If you tell me Scotty was a 5-time All Star, I don't care. Like I could think of a. No, I'm sure it probably is. He probably is like a 7-time or whatever. But Chris Middleton is an All-Star too, and I'm not looking at him like he's one of the greatest players ever.
Yeah, but this guy got so much publicity. Like he was on the most famous team of a decade. Like that's why I can't believe that. Like I feel like after 91, when he cut, like in 1991, right? After he cupped Magic, people were probably like, Scotty's pretty nice, right? Then in 92, when they won 67 fucking games and he was awesome, I got to imagine they were like, this guy's fucking really good.
You know how many people don't know that?
But what I'm saying is, sure, 30 years later, but when it's happening, I don't think Scottie Pippen is looked at as this dumpster fire.
Well,
I'm not find that super hard to believe.
I'm talking about now. I'm talking about. That's why I said when I first heard of Scottie Pippen, I thought that he was not that good. When I looked into him and did research, I found out that he was. And a lot of people, I'm 100% sure a lot of people felt that same way because of how much Jordan gets talked out. Unfortunately, in this world, when you talk up a player, for whatever reason, you have to down talk another. That's why when you have a Kobe and LeBron debate, I always had to shit on LeBron to big up Kobe. Unfortunately, that was how it was.
That's why you and I would get into arguments because I don't do that. I don't like to do that.
Yeah, but a lot, like a majority of people in this world do that. So that's why, and it was, and I think I texted this to you. It was the same thing with Pau. Pau Gasol, you felt like Pau was a really good player. I never felt that way.
But that's a great example.
And now imagine being a Jordan fan. Jordan is bigger than life. And I've already said Jordan is better than Kobe. So imagine being a fan at that point and looking at Scottie Pippen. I'm sure there were fans that when Scottie Pippen got the ball with a couple seconds left on the game or whatever, the last 2 minutes, they knew he was gonna split the free throws, or they knew just like I did with Powell. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference in like when you have that. Unfortunately, when there's a lot of love, there's a lot of hate to somebody else, and that's what Pippen got for majority of his career. I'm sure.
I don't know who called him this, but apparently someone in history called Scottie Pippen Batman, and I would like to know whether that person still has a job or not. But my point is, I just like, if you like basketball enough to look at its history, you can't look at him and not go, this is one of the 5 best perimeter defenders of all time, right? And you can't look at him. I just feel like, to me, it's common knowledge that Jordan didn't win without Scottie Pippen. That to me is common knowledge. That's why I have a hard time believing that, because I don't understand that.
There's so many people that feel like you could have switched Pippen for anybody else.
Yeah,
like,
see, I just never thought that.
Any other star,
I never thought
he
that.
would have won. And
If you replace Pippen with Paul George, I don't think they win 6.
Yeah, no, they definitely don't. And my whole thing, and that's why I think that's why like it's kind of disrespectful to compare Pippen to Paul George, because I really do think that Pippen. I think still to this day, I would still consider Pippen. He might be in the top 50. He might be towards the end of it, but he's definitely that good of a player. That way, I'd still have to consider him a top 50 player.
I just don't know at what level of basketball nerdness do you find that out. Like I feel like you do Jordan, you do Shaq and Kobe, you do like LeBron. If you learn about the history, right? Like I can't fathom not figuring it out. Because when I was a kid, I always argued for Kareem over MJ as the GOAT, just to like argue that. And so I had to know about Scottie Pippen. Like I just didn't. I always put myself in those situations. So that's why when you ask me these questions, I can't think like that. I can't take myself out of the shoes of somebody that spent their whole childhood doing that. Like I can't. Because I don't know any better.
But can you see how that's infuriating to someone who's talking to you?
But it's the truth. At least
I have to put myself in your mindset and be like, okay, I can see where you're coming from, but I'm talking from
I can't though. I can't see where you're coming from. I just can't. I'm being honest about it. I can't, because I can't imagine.
Lindsay, I really do appreciate you.
Yeah, thank God that Lindsay's here.
Like, I'm a casual fan.
Okay,
thanks. I'm not drunk.
Yeah, like I just never looked at it. I never looked at it like that. I always looked at Scottie as somebody who was looked at in this, and I always looked at him as more overrated than underrated because of his mental weakness. That was always how I looked at it.
That's crazy. I feel like he's completely underrated.
Yeah, that's me. But that's because I was always arguing for that. So maybe that's why I looked at it like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in your case, if I was debating Kareem over MJ, I would be saying that Scottie was underrated to make my point stronger.
Yeah, but I was 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get that. So,
I wasn't a professional. Yeah. I wasn't a professional that I clearly am now in my basement. But but that'll wrap it up for this season. We'll go on to the next one. Stop that.